Vampire. Vampires are one of the oldest horror movie monsters, and almost every version comes from old European folklore. In many stories, a vampire is a dead person who returns to life by feeding on human blood. Early films showed them as creepy, silent creatures hiding in castles and shadows. Over time, they became more elegant and human-looking, especially in movies inspired by Dracula. What makes vampires different from other monsters is their mix of fear and charm. They can appear calm and intelligent one moment, then suddenly become violent predators. Many movies also connect vampires to immortality, loneliness, and the fear of death itself. Zombie. Zombies became hugely popular through horror films about outbreaks and survival. Traditionally, zombies were linked to voodoo legends, but modern movies changed them into infected or reanimated corpses that spread through bites. Unlike vampires, zombies usually have no personality left. They move as crowds, overwhelming people through numbers rather than intelligence. Some films portray them as slow and decaying, while others make them fast and aggressive. Zombies often reflect real-world fears about disease, social collapse, and losing control during disasters. That is part of why they remain such a lasting horror icon. Werewolf. Werewolves are humans who transform into wolves or wolf-like creatures, usually during a full moon. The idea comes from ancient stories about cursed people changing shape under certain conditions. Horror movies often focus on the tragic side of werewolves because the victim usually cannot control the transformation. During the day, they may seem completely normal, but at night they become dangerous and violent. The physical transformation scene itself became famous in horror cinema, especially with practical effects in older films. Werewolves represent the fear of losing control over human instincts and emotions. Ghost. Ghosts appear in almost every culture, which makes them one of the most recognizable horror movie monsters. In films, ghosts are usually spirits trapped between life and death. Some are peaceful, while others are angry or seeking revenge. Unlike physical monsters, ghosts often create fear through atmosphere rather than direct attacks. Strange noises, moving objects, and sudden appearances are common signs of a haunting. Many ghost stories revolve around unfinished business, tragic deaths, or cursed locations. The fear comes from the idea that something invisible could still be watching or influencing the living world. Demon. Demons are supernatural evil entities, usually connected to religion and possession stories. Horror films often show demons taking control of people, twisting their behavior and speech into something terrifying. Unlike ghosts, demons are usually presented as intentionally cruel and destructive. Movies about exorcisms became especially popular because they mix horror with spiritual fear. Demons can appear in many forms, from shadowy figures to monstrous creatures with distorted faces and voices. Their presence often creates a feeling that evil itself has entered the world, which gives these stories a heavier and darker tone than many other monster films. Mummy. Mummies became famous through movies inspired by ancient Egyptian tombs and curses. In horror films, a mummy is usually a preserved corpse that returns to life after being disturbed. Early versions moved slowly and silently, wrapped in old bandages while hunting those who awakened them. Many stories focus on cursed artifacts, forbidden tombs, and ancient revenge. Unlike zombies, mummies are often connected to a specific history and identity from the distant past. They represent fear of disturbing ancient places and uncovering secrets that were meant to stay buried forever. Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein's monster comes from Mary Shelley's novel written in the early 19th century. In film adaptations, the creature is created from dead body parts and brought to life through science experiments. Although many people incorrectly call the monster Frankenstein, that is actually the scientist's name. The monster is usually portrayed as powerful but emotionally confused, struggling to understand the world around him. Some movies present him as violent, while others show him as lonely and rejected by society. This monster became important because it introduced fears about dangerous scientific ambition and humans trying to play the role of creator. Alien. Alien monsters became especially popular after science fiction and horror started to blend together. These creatures come from outer space and often have strange biology that humans cannot understand. Some are intelligent invaders, while others act more like deadly animals. The fear surrounding aliens usually comes from the unknown. Their appearance, behavior, and motives can feel completely unfamiliar. Films like Alien changed the genre by creating creatures that were terrifying not only because they killed people, but because they felt truly unnatural. Alien monsters often reflect fears about exploration, isolation, and contact with something beyond human understanding. Clown. Horror clowns twist something normally associated with fun into something disturbing. Movies often portray them with exaggerated smiles, heavy makeup, and unpredictable behavior. Part of the fear comes from not being able to read their true emotions behind the painted face. Characters like Pennywise turned the evil clown into one of the most recognizable modern horror figures. Clown monsters are especially effective because they corrupt childhood memories and safe environments. Instead of entertainment, they create tension and discomfort, making ordinary places suddenly feel threatening. Witch. Witches in horror films are usually connected to dark magic, curses, and forbidden rituals. Their origins come from centuries of folklore and historical witch trials. Some witches live alone in forests or old houses, while others hide within normal communities. Unlike physical monsters that rely on physical strength, witches are feared for their knowledge and supernatural abilities. Many stories involve potions, hexes, or deals with dark forces. Witches remain popular because they combine mystery, fear of the unknown, and old cultural beliefs about hidden power. Creature from the deep. Sea monsters and underwater creatures have terrified audiences for decades because the ocean itself already feels mysterious and dangerous. These monsters can be giant sharks, mutated fish, or completely unknown species living in deep water. Films often trap characters far from safety, where escape becomes almost impossible. Water limits movement and visibility, which naturally increases tension. Sea creatures represent the fear of what might exist beneath the surface, where humans cannot easily see or survive. Even today, deep ocean horror remains effective because so much of the ocean is still unexplored. Slasher killer. Slasher killers are technically human, but horror films often present them almost like unstoppable monsters. Characters such as masked murderers survive an injury that would normally kill someone and continue hunting victims without emotion. They're usually connected to trauma, revenge, or madness from the past. Slasher movies became extremely popular during the late 20th century, especially in teenage horror films. Unlike supernatural creatures, slashers feel frightening because they seem possible in the real world. Their silence, masks, and persistence turn ordinary humans into symbols of fear.